Ellen's going to protest today by only eating like 2 or 3 cookies instead of half of the whole, the whole row of cookies that come in the Oreo box.
2 or 3? I'm already up to 4.
Good morning. It's 5:02, and it is Wednesday, October 5th, 2011. Kansas City's Morning News. I'm E.J. Becker.
And I'm Ellen Shank. Here's what's going on right now.
Officers from several law enforcement agencies gear up to resume the search for 10-month-old Lisa Irwin.
A huge investment in the Clay Como Ford plant could mean big bucks for the local economy.
We need some rain. When will it get here? We'll talk about that coming up.
Traffic and weather, the very latest on the way at 5:09.
The awards may be tongue-in-cheek, but the research is real. And after you hear what it's all about, you may be asking yourself, are we paying for this?
Particularly the bug research. Oh, you'll love this.
Winners of the Ig Nobel Prizes coming up at 5:10. It's 5:03 now on KMBZ.
The Amber Alert has been canceled, but KMBZ's Bill Grady reports a full-on search for the missing baby girl we first told you about yesterday morning is set to resume today, and he joins us live near the Police Command Center with the very latest. Bill?
And Lisa Irwin has been missing from her crib for over 24 hours now, a block of time many investigators say is critical to recovering a kidnapping victim. The baby girl last seen in her crib Monday night. KCPD officers and officers from other agencies searched wooded areas near the house till around 8:30 last night, sometimes using horses, sometimes firefighters rappelling down steep embankments. But so far, no sign of the baby. Yesterday, a neighbor reported seeing a man walking through the neighborhood carrying a baby. We asked Kansas City Police Captain Steve Young about that lead.
It didn't develop into anything further, and, that lead, among many others that we had come in yesterday that we followed up on, really hasn't turned into anything that we can put out and have people actively looking for.
Lisa has blue eyes, blonde hair, 30 inches tall, weighing 26 to 30 pounds. She has 2 bottom teeth, a small bug bite under her left ear, a beauty mark on her right outer thigh, and currently has a cold with a cough. Now, the baby was last seen wearing purple shorts and a purple shirt with white kittens on it. Police are asking anyone with information, even if it seems insignificant, to call the TIPS hotline, 816-474-TIPS. It just takes one solid lead. Meanwhile, Lisa's heartbroken parents are just hoping their baby girl has returned safely. Live in the Northland, Bill Grady, News Radio 98.1 FM KMBZ.
Kansas City police are investigating what they call a suspicious death. A woman's body found on the side of, in the Northland of a side of a road Tuesday evening. Specifically, she was found on Northeast 120th Street. Police are not saying how she died. She's white and appears to be in her 20s. A 3-alarm fire heavily damaged the Greenbrier townhomes in Overland Park Tuesday night. KMBZ's Mark Stubbs has more.
The fire was reported about 6 p.m. after neighbors say they heard a series of explosions. Jason Rhodes with the Overland Park Fire Department says the fire started in a row of carports, then jumped to the end unit of a section of townhomes. There were no firewalls between the living units, which caused problems for firefighters.
Crews went in an offensive posture initially, which means they went inside, tried to get that fire from underneath to stop it, but it just spread so quickly that they eventually were forced to pull out and go defensive. And at that point, it's just about trying to contain it, which they were able to do very successfully.
Rhodes says no one was injured, and the cause of the fire is being investigated. I'm Mark Stubbs, News Radio 98.1 FM, KMBZ.
The Diocese of Kansas City St. Joseph facing another lawsuit alleging a cover-up by the church. The survivors' network of those abused by priests is a man in his 30s was sexually abused by a former priest in the early 80s. The unnamed victim claims Father Stephen Wise abused him for 2 years while he attended Presentation Parish in Lee's Summit. The diocese, in a written statement, said Wise hasn't served as a priest since 1986 and is now married. Ford has announced $1.1 billion worth of investment and 1,600 new jobs for the Clay Como plant. KMBC's Carol Markser talked with the Clay County Economic Development Council about what that will mean for the metro.
Jim Hampton is the director for the council. He says this huge investment from Ford will have a multiplier effect for Clay County and the entire region.
If there's 1,600 new jobs at the plant, there will probably be twice that many in new supplier kinds of jobs. And when you look at that payroll, you'll be talking in the billions of dollars.
Hampton credits the Missouri Manufacturing Jobs Act passed in last summer's special session for the investment by the car maker. He says without that legislation, Missouri wouldn't have stayed competitive. Kara Marks, News Radio 98.1 FM, KMBZ.
Next on Kansas City's Morning News.
First, it was that rock with the N-word. Now Rick Perry may have another racial issue to face. We'll run this one up the flagpole for you at 5:20. Plus traffic and weather together on the 9s. It's 5:07 at KMBZ.
It's 5:10 on News Radio 98.1 FM, KMBZ. When you're out on the web today, make sure you go to kmbz.com where you'll find a link to getmyperks.com because Fitness Together Overland Park has a great deal for you today. 8 small group training classes, a fitness assessment, a consultation, and a nutrition course. $89. It's $89 for almost $300 in value. You'll find it at getmyperks.com. Just select Kansas City when you go there and check out all the great deals you can get. Again, the link to that online at kmbz.com. Now, everybody's heard of the Nobel Prizes. They're handing them out right now. But way more interesting are the Ig Nobels, meant to entertain and encourage scientific research. So here's what we're encouraging. Reuters reports that one Ig Nobel went to researchers who found that the male buprestid beetle likes to copulate with Australian beer bottles. Seriously.
Obviously, the beetle isn't overly bright.
Let's hope there's something about yeast and hops in there that we're learning. Peter Snyder, professor of neurology at Brown University, part of 2 research teams who won the Medicine Prize for studying how the urge to urinate affects decision-making. That study found that attention and working memory suffer. Another winner, John Perry of Stanford, won for his theory of structured procrastination, which holds that procrastinators can be motivated to do important things as long as they are doing them as a way of avoiding something even more important.
It's all relative.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
And at least there's this. The Ig Nobel winners receive their awards from former Nobel Prize winners, the real guys. And it's at a ceremony at Harvard University.
Kind of shows that the real Nobel Prize winners have a sense of humor, which you wouldn't expect from a Nobel Prize winner. Members of a Missouri House committee returning to the Capitol to consider a new version of that business incentive bill during the special legislative session. House Economic Development Committee was scheduled to vote yesterday on the legislation, setting up a potential debate the next day by the full chamber. The committee originally was to vote on the legislation 2 weeks ago, but it never did because Republican House leaders said they wanted to reach a consensus with senators. There is still no agreement between the House and the Senate. Kansas legislators are getting an update on efforts by Governor Sam Brownback's administration to promote the arts after he vetoed the state funding for them. The Joint Committee on Arts and Cultural Resources expect to hear testimony at a meeting today from members of the Kansas Arts Commission and the nonprofit Kansas Arts Foundation.
It's 5:13 on KMBZ. Nobody really wants to think about the snow that's coming, but Kansas City's chapter of the APWA hosts a snow and equipment expo every year, and our Valerie Perezzo says the goal is to make sure the roads are safe for all of us.
Could you knock a tennis ball off a cone with a scraper? How about rolling a bowling ball up a ramp? These are just some of the skill-sharpening obstacles that prepare drivers to work on snowy roads throughout the metro. Sarah Croak is the president of Whether or Not. They helped organize the event. She says the networking that drivers do there is just as important as the skill set they learn.
Having a mutual aid agreement, as we do in Kansas City Metro, is critical. Another piece to that, training.
Croak also said safety is the first concern. If workers don't fasten their seatbelt, they fail the course. Valerie Perezzo, News Radio 98.1 FM, KMBZ.
The American Public Works Association doing that for us every year. How about that? It is 5:14 now. We'll take a look at sports in a minute on KMBZ. 5:22 now on KMBZ. Speaking of Randy Newman, he hasn't just written the jingles. Hasn't he been nominated for an Oscar like 1,400 times and only won once?
He and his entire family.
Exactly. All right, here's what's coming up in the next portion of Kansas City's Morning News as we bring you the most news on FM.
Frustrated but not discouraged at sunup, searchers will begin looking for Lisa Irwin again.
A local nonprofit needs some hired help this winter.
Your wife and girlfriend spend big bucks on it. So, guys, how much will you pay for the little miracle pill? And what would you do? Will it do the same thing for you? Are you willing to do what it takes to make it work, too? Find out at 5:30 this morning on News Radio 98.1 FM, KMBZ. Rick Perry, currently facing criticism over the racist name of his family's hunting camp, might have a new problem. The AP points out he's defended the presence of the Confederate flag in his state, and an upcoming decision on a flag-adorned license plate could thrust his stance on the issue back into the spotlight. In 2000, the NAACP asked Texas to remove Confederate symbols from 2 plaques in its Supreme Court building, and then Lieutenant Governor Perry opposed the request, stating that Texas, quote, should never forget our history. I want you to know that I oppose efforts to remove Confederate monuments, plaques, and memorials from public property, he wrote in a 2000 letter to the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I believe that Texans should remember the past and learn from it. Perry also welcomed attendees of a benefit hosted by the organization in 2005 and honored a Confederate general accused of murdering black POWs in a 2007 message from the governor. I mean, that last part about honoring a Confederate general, that's not going to do him any good. The other part, though, I mean, does he have a
Texas
point?
History and learning from it.
Does he have a
see
point
his
there?
point there.
Exactly.
But it's going to be hard to explain that to a lot of people.
Yeah, but we'll see if it comes up in the race here for the White House.
Rick Perry and Mitt Romney hoping to pick up some Republican donors who had been hoping that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie would make a presidential run. Of course, he said yesterday he's not. So where does the money that was going for him go to now? They're hoping it'll go to them.
I don't know. Sarah Palin hasn't said what she's doing yet.
That's true.
You never know. 5:24 now. Business news in a minute on KMBZ.